So cool. All right, Mr. Daniel Gauci, please. Thank you for joining me for one of our cannabis and coffee conversations. I understand you are the CBDO of JuicyFields. Please start with what does that title mean?
Okay. Firstly, I love the setting you're in there. It looks marvelous. Where are you right now?
I'm in Negril, Jamaica, West End Negril.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Fantastic.
I like the location. It can get a bit noisy from time to time, but yeah, I do like the location.
No, it's fantastic.
CBDO.
Yeah. If that's an invite, I'm there, man. Seriously, it's superb. CBDO, just a title. It's Chief Business Development Officer. Really, that's the top guy in a company who takes care of any kind of business development or pushing the company forward with their business strategies that either the investors, the C team, or the shareholders have made. As we're quite new in a startup, we all take on as many roles as possible and just really try and get the different jobs done. As you know, you've been speaking with a few of the guys at JuicyFields. We all try and build together as a team and support each other in what we do. So it's a very interesting role for sure.
Right. I was wondering if you were kind of playing on CBD. Oh, I mean, I knew what it meant, but I was just wondering you CBD is kind of a little thing.
It worked well when they offered me the job title. I wondered if that was one of the main cores, because it came with a cheeky face, and I was like, it works well, you know. Right. Although we're predominantly THC and medicinal full spectrum, but CBD falls into something that I use as well.
Right on. All right, now that's cool. So how did you get involved in cannabis? Why cannabis? Well, tell me about your history. What's your history, and then I guess how you got into JuicyFields, I guess.
Okay, well, cannabis, I was traveling around Europe, as you do as a teenager. I was using cannabis in social situations, different means and different forms. I actually got into cultivation of cannabis. The first time I saw cannabis being cultivated was in the United Nations Food Program. They were doing some experiments on the side, and there was this wonderful, it looked space age equipment. I asked about it. They informed me it was hydroponics, and they were just studying things. And that took the curiosity off, and that's when I started growing. And it's almost getting on to 17 years ago now.
Okay.
When you look at it like that, it goes a long time. But that started the fire behind the medicinal and the cultivation side, and it grew from there. My relationship in more modern times, I was making medicine for people who needed it in forms of oils and pastes. And then just by some form of fate, my son is severely autistic, and my daughter suffered with a cancerous tumor at the age of 2 years old. So thankfully, them skills, she's more than fine now. She's 5 years old. She lost her kidney, unfortunately, but she battled through, and she's our little warrior princess now. Let's put it that way. But she's doing well, and both treated with cannabis.
Cannabis. So, well, there you. Okay, well that gives you all the more reason. You definitely have to pass this on as a legacy now as well.
So
that's really cool. Right? So JuicyFields. How do you get involved with JuicyFields then?
Well, it was just by chance. I was living in Malta. Malta, in fact, changed their legislation. They were opening up for medicinal growers, cultivation, processing companies. With having a background in marijuana and business development, I thought I'd merge the two and do what a lot of people have done and made myself into a cannabis consultant. And during this time, the CEO, Alan, got in touch with me to go through the white paper, or the green paper, as we like to call it, just to see what how the business model would work, how we'd go about it, how we'd push that forward. I had a look at that with him, then started some content, and it really just grew from there.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you why JuicyFields, but I guess that the name was made up before you got involved. All right, no problem.
Exactly.
All right, no problem.
It's cool.
So I'm still trying to even wrap my head fully around the full concept. The concept of crowd growing, how exactly does that work? Is that like a mother farm concept, or how does that really roll out? And then well, we get to the investing side as
I
well.
like that. I haven't heard that terminology, but I think I'm going to steal that. The mother farm.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a good
All
one.
right.
I'll take that if you don't mind.
No, not a
That's
problem.
good.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
So if you've heard of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding, it's a similar model to that in the way that we try and keep everything within a community supply chain. That's what we're trying to build there, keeping everything within the community. That's for people who want to invest, and also the people who have them community farms or really have been cultivating all of them years before legislation was positive, and now they're taking that step forward. They have that experience, they have that knowledge. So do the locals around that community. So we try and support that by putting them all together. And making that all possible through platforms, partnerships, and so on. And hopefully that will grow into one big ecosystem, whereas everybody involved is getting the profits and the benefits and the value from that.
Well, that was one of my questions. Is it, if you were a farmer, would it be? I mean, there would be a cap on how much you could actually earn per harvest. Am I correct? I mean, even despite global price fluctuations or whatnot, there would be a cap on what a person could earn. Yeah.
That's right, and that's where we really come in with our supporters. We try and give these farmers and these cultivators and the processors means to grow. So without, we tend to see in every industry, there's the monopolistic mindset of the bigger companies, the bigger corporations. And we've seen it already, coming in, buying up smaller farms, maybe offering what seems to be good value at the time. But I think you and I really know the growth of this industry, where it's to come. So rather than these farmers or these small communities selling out, they can actually keep that within themselves and grow without having to sell their property, sell their business, which we're seeing a lot of already. If we give them the means to grow, then they can keep growing that business, acquiring more land, more processing facilities, and keeping it within the community.
So what about, I mean, I noticed you've done some stuff in Colombia, do some stuff around South America, and I think Africa as well. And so I guess the legislature has to be in place for the export. Because how does that work out? Because export is just a huge issue within the whole industry.
Yes, that's right. I mean, we really tend to offer support on that side. Really, these guys, you've seen the market at the minute. There's more than enough demand to be going around at the moment. So we kind of leave that to our partners themselves. Usually, they already have them partnerships and all of that in place. Normally, they're looking to grow because they're being asked for more and more. So at the moment, that's what we're seeing. So that's what we're supporting.
Right. Okay, right. And then the investors, how do they then benefit? Again, there's also a cap on how much they can earn as well, isn't there?
Yes, I mean, with everything, there's always them certain caps. We have to cap it as we see that's going forward in the market. I mean, at the moment, we have future prices and deals locked in. So we know what our prices and our harvests are going to be within certain ranges. But as you rightfully say, as everything grows, the market fluctuates, there's always going to be caps along the lines. But that's why we're always looking for more and more partners. And every month we're signing 2, 3, 4 more partners in some form or another, whether that be consultants, processors, cultivators. Because yes, there's a lot of demand for the juicy clones at the moment.
Oh, that was getting to one of my questions. I guess it would be my next. So what about this strains? You got the Juicy Flash, the Juicy Mist, and the Juicy Kush. Where did those come from? Are they I guess copyrighted genetics, your own genetics? And why those strains? Why just those 3?
Well, we actually call them strains that we haven't genetically copyrighted anything yet. Obviously, these are the names that we've given to other names that are being grown. So obviously, there's no Juicy Flash strain that has been authorized by any medicinal authority to be used. So it's just what we use as a selection name within the platform. But really, the partners are growing the medicinal strains that have been authorized by the government of whichever country they're in, or the medicine authority usually.
Right. Okay, so do you work with the government authorities in these countries as well?
Yes, we try. Actually, we have some consultants that work with us, like Shlomo, Brooklyn, Thomas Walker, even our new guy in Amsterdam, Hans. These guys actually work with the governments to set up that legislation, usually because they've had a good background in a nation that's already that already has that framework, or they already have a solid and working infrastructure that I think, you can't just copy and paste from one country to another, but the fundamentals are usually the same. And then it depends on the culture, the way that they do things, the way that they want to do things, where the profit is going, who's having more control, whether it's medicinal authorities, private companies, pharmaceutical companies. So yeah, we try and help the up and coming countries where we can. We try and put the influence in and really try and keep it within the communities again. I mean, obviously you're up against lobbyists and pharmaceutical companies, so it's not exactly easy, but we see that the communities do have a good armory on their side, because a lot of governments now are listening more to these people. Now that they've changed the legislation, they've had to be talking to the people who are in the industry already. These are the people who are the communities. So if they're getting in there at that stage, they've got a better chance of actually keeping that industry within their control rather than outside forces having their influence.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's what's happening here. They're doing another restructuring of the cannabis licensing authority here in Jamaica, because I suspect a lot of the voices that they're listening to are not exactly the appropriate voices. People are not a part of the industry. I think that's kind of missing from their conversation. So hopefully that we'll see that change happen. But have you looked into Jamaica at all? Because I could definitely put you in touch with people, and I could do a lot for you guys.
Well, for sure. I mean, this is the point. We need people like yourselves in all countries to be pushing forward, educating people, talking to different people within the industry, bringing these people together. Even the way that you portray the cannabis industry, it's very professional, very relaxed, and this is what we're trying to say now. It's not totally pharmaceutical, and it's not a bunch of stoners either. There's a bunch of professionals. Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. The people that have the love and the respect for it, who are in the middle. And these are the guys that have to stretch out both ways and bring them together. And I believe that's people like you, people like me, people that we talk to through Juicy in Colombia, all the way through Latin America, and also Europe. We've got some great guys in Denmark doing the same thing.
Okay, right. So, I guess are you looking more towards infrastructure, looking more towards, I guess, these tropical countries, more for cultivation and processing and so on, and then the sales is straight up to Europe, is it to Germany? Are you looking, Australia, Mexico? I don't know.
I think you hit the nail on the head there straight away. I think that's the easiest way. We've been going through a lot of conferences over the past couple of months, and one of the speakers made a key point. He's like, why do all you European countries think that you're going to be the main cultivators of this industry? You can't grow it naturally outside properly. You need tropical countries. You need countries with that climate where they can just throw the seeds and out comes the great
It'll grow. No, I'm in full agreement. I kind of laugh when I hear the money's being put into these huge greenhouse, indoor greenhouse structures in
the Swiss mountains
and so on. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, really, does that? And it's fully air conditioned and this and that. And I was like, my God, your carbon footprint alone. I mean, that even in and of itself. I mean, this is cannabis. If we love cannabis and the plants and the earth, and then your carbon footprint is literally doing the opposite at the same time. Then there's the plastics, and then it's another issue.
Oh, exactly. The carbon footprint is horrendous at the moment. But I mean, that's the push towards the end goal. I think the end goal should be where people are allowed to grow and medicate themselves.
Absolutely.
They can do it within the locality. You have a block of people all pooling together, one small tent, greenhouse, piece of land, and doing it together. But we're so far from that point.
Yeah.
So at the minute, I think the best bet is the African countries, the tropical countries, all across the equator, exactly where it thrives, and then have them cultivate, process it, keep that value in that chain, because that's where the value is, with the knowledge and the climate of the people that are cultivating the cannabis. And then we have to do the marketing, the labeling, the packaging, the shipping, and then it comes to Europe as a proper product.
Right on.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
That's the dream, man. That's the dream.
I mean, what kind of responses have you guys been having with European partners on, as far as distribution and so on and so forth? Because I know the German is kind of opening up. France keeps talking. I don't know what's going on in the UK. But things are across the board. Things are happening. Things are happening.
It's true.
What's that like? Been like, I guess.
I mean, with distribution, like you said, it's always an issue. You've got the GCAP, GMP. So all of it has to be within the European guidelines. Right. Then each country tends to have their own either guidelines or legislation that obviously has to be followed as well. But then this is where you see the monopolies forming with companies, the big guys, Tilray, Aurora, so on and so forth, either joining or making offers that are just completely ridiculous, knocking other people out of the market, undercutting people, and then realizing why they're losing hundreds of millions a year. I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense. So yes, we're fighting that at the moment, but because the demand is so high and the supply is it peaks and troughs. Okay. So along with the pricing, probably not before long. So
what about the quality?
It's going to be interesting.
What about the quality of the cannabis?
The quality.
I have heard some complaints, but I don't know, how that affects the European market.
Maltese, I've seen some complaints, but this was the first or second deliveries, and they were really just trying to satisfy the demand, and so I can appreciate it. A couple of weeks ago, I was fortunate enough to see some German medicinal. Yes. Some German indica from the pharmacy. Right. It was stored nice, packaged nice, labeled correctly, and it was very good medicinal marijuana. I think I'm not sure of the supplier, but I can text it for you later. And that was very good. And the supply is supposed to be very consistent. And I think this is the thing. It's not to do with quality. It's to do with consistency. Right. You can have different highs with the same strain at the moment. And this, I think, is going to be a problem. I think this is the problem the doctors are having with prescribing flower at the moment. It's okay with the pastes, the oils, they have a certain concentration, they've been lab tested. Anything else is going to be a bit more of an issue.
I agree. This is true, and when nature takes its course, once you get into medicinal, the plants itself, I would say, is, especially given doctors' history of basically that's what they do. They prescribe medicines and so forth. This is this.
Exactly.
So, there's just a bike passing.
You got your friend.
So I could as well. Then we need to educate them as well, or again, just create more of the products. That's more accessible. As the market opens up, more and more products make it much more accessible. And there's Cannabis 2.0. What about JuicyFields? I mean, what kind of end products do you distribute?
At the moment, JuicyFields doesn't distribute anything. It's our partners who distribute. So at the moment, they're distributing flour, biomass flour for production into oils. And then some of them are actually making the oils themselves. And some more will be starting this year once they have the facilities set up. It's quite interesting. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the different isolates, the different oils, topical lotions, inhalers. There's so many delivery methods that are being introduced. I mean, this is where standardization comes down for medicinal use. I think when it comes to flour, I think would probably be legalized recreationally before we actually get down into analyzing and differentiating between all the hundreds of thousands of cannabinoids and terpenes. We're in the early stages of this.
It's still very, very
whole industry.
Agreed. I mean, this is largely because it went medicinal, and so now we're trying to create all the medicinal applications because just the recreational, the adult use, or the whatever you want to call it, that side of it, that's people again
normally
kind of more than accepting. Say, oh, the same thing, give me that. Yeah, it looks nice and green. It looks nice and fluffy. It's good. I'm good to go.
Give it a smell.
It's gotten a lot more complicated. But why? So why THC? Because I mean, a lot of Europe is still kind of low level CBD. I mean, CBD is accepted.
It's true.
So why are you guys leaning towards THC?
I think THC is going to be the way forward. In both medicinal and recreational. I mean, don't get me wrong, CBD is a huge market, but it's completely saturated at the moment. Everybody's jumping into the CBD market. There's going to be people investing millions and going to lose. There's people going to invest millions and going to make hundreds of millions. It's very difficult to judge because there's a lot of people with a lot of very good products. So it's going to come down to marketing, budgets, influencing, and sometimes not always the best products get through like that. But with the CBD, there's things that you're going to get your more benefit from salad oil than some of the CBD oils that are available. And some of the CBD oils available are better than some of the THC oils available on the black market. So when it starts regularizing, it's going to get better. But for us, I think THC is the way forward in both medicinal terms, the market growth, and I can see the markets opening up recreationally across, especially Southern Europe, quite soon. If it's not going to be tourism recreational, it will be for personal use, personal consumption.
Right. Yeah, like
plants at home, this kind of thing. Exactly these things. I mean, how is it in Jamaica now? It's quite relaxed for growing your own. I mean,
yes.
It always has been. But
well, always been semi-relaxed, definitely. But I mean, if you can, legally now we can legally grow 6 plants on our property. You can, the Rastafarians can grow and pay that state, but they cannot sell. They're not allowed to do any commerce. So that's, of course, a big issue for them. And then the other is the other straight up medicinal, and you have to have a card and this and that. Very easily accessible, but it's that's the process. So I mean, it's picking up. Everybody's eyeing the export market. Complaining that the government's doesn't have the legislation in place. They don't really have it in place, but they have, they've been facilitating exports for a number of entities up until now. So that's not really a problem. That's why I think you guys are interesting. I really want to, because on both sides, the investing and the farmers, get these farmers properly a part of the industry. Sorry, 2 bikes, one going up. Jesus.
I don't hear it so much. It's not so bad. It's the cockerel I keep hearing.
Is it? No, there's a cock in the background, and then there's the bikes every now and then that come up and down, and it's what they're like, motorcycle taxis, so they're taking people up and down. It's Negril, it's Negril. That's what's up. So I say, yes. I mean, so things are definitely, happening in Jamaica in the right direction. A lot of people do, they want them to open up the industry to people because again, there's I was just speaking to someone yesterday, long, I did not expect this hour-long conversation. And he was saying that he's because he has a tier 3, which is something like 5 acres, they're forcing him, he has to have a fence that's at least 8 feet. And that in itself, and that's the whole 5 acres that has to be completely, and that's
so cost prohibitive
change right there.
But I'd love a JuicyJamaica farm for sure.
Yeah,
JuicyJamaica would be the bomb, man.
That's just it. There are people who they have land, or they've gotten land, they want to get involved. They're going through the process, but they don't have the full business together. You know what I mean? We've got this, and now we need money, or we need partners to distribute something.
You need the infrastructure. You need lawyers, accountants, advisors, cultivating.
Yes, exactly.
Crazy.
That's you need a business element to take care of, make sure everyone's taken care of and everything flows properly.
Exactly.
Basically.
It's true.
Basically.
And this is where we help with our partners. I mean, that's what we can offer. Our partners are around the world. We have South Africans, Israelis, Americans, English, Europeans, everywhere. So and this is what we like. We're not really centralized. We're not really a globalism kind of company. We're just trying to help everybody who wants to be helped. And at the moment in the cannabis industry, you see the different kinds of people. You see the pharma companies and even the big corporations, Coca-Cola, Unilever, the Marlboro, the Philip Morris. They're all trying to get in on it.
So there's money to be
see the value. Exactly. And we see the value with giving that back to the community. Some of them have been working on this for 20 years, either fighting for the legislation, fighting for prisoner rights, fighting for medicinal rights, fighting for access for children. There's so many different elements of society that will benefit from full legalization, whether it be medicinal or recreational. But if we just stick with medicinal, no, please.
So that brings up an interesting question. Do you lean towards full legalization or decriminalization and levels of regulations and so on? Because a lot of people are saying that if we do go fully legal, the big boys are just going to roll it over, especially in like the United States. So a lot of saying maybe decriminalization. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
It either has to be really regulated or not regulated at all. In my opinion, I'm a bit of in this kind of way, I'm an activist. I believe that marijuana should be totally legal for anybody to grow, for anybody to above adult age to be able to buy, sell, partake. I think it should be now. I don't think there's real reasons. Actually, there's more reasons for it to be legal than illegal now. I mean, the war on drugs, we don't even have to mention this. We know what a total shitting disaster that was. Yes. Exactly.
It continues to be.
And we know, yes, it's not over. But that's my personal feeling. I think that everybody should be allowed to grow it at home, sell it in a shop like a liquor store or something like this. But until we get to that stage, we must have the legislation in place that protects the community farmers, the people and the patients that are using it, not the pharmaceutical companies and the bigger corporations that are looking to make simply looking to make money. This industry should not be. There will be enough money in this industry to go around for sure, but that should not be the main aim of this industry. And I think the people that will do that will fail.
That's what a lot of governments are just looking at. They're looking at, well, how can I tax this? How can I make money off of it? Yeah. And unfortunately here, I think the medicinal really kind of won. But the medicinal kind of won out because I don't think the government really knows how to tax it outside of a very structured system. They don't want to be left out, basically. You know what I mean? They don't want to be left out. All right, well, here we should definitely continue this conversation. I really would love to see a JuicyFields, just Juicy Jamaica as well. Juicy Jamaica, I like the sound of that.
You know? Yeah, it rolls off the tongue so well, man. It rolls off the tongue so well. Juicy Jamaica, it's a thing. We'll do it.
That works. Oh, well, thanks a lot for your time, man. I'll send you the link to the movie.
Thank you for having me.
I'll send you this when we decide to release it and so on and so forth. Yeah, it was a great conversation. Thank you very much, man. And let's make Juicy Jamaica happen. I can definitely
JuicyJamaica for sure, man.
I'll